The Pacific Electric was formed in 1911 out of the Great Merger. One of the many communities that the Pacific Electric would end up serving is the city or town of San Pedro. The Pacific Electric operated a number of local lines from about 1905 until the last line closed in 1938. But service to San Pedro continued until the 1950s. Freight service continued to San Pedro on the Harbor Belt Line and later Pacific Harbor Line for many years after the end of passenger service. In the 1990s, about 1999, there were plans to reopen the Red Car in San Pedro. 1.5 miles of track were converted to 600-volt DC power, and 2 new cars were constructed out of original plans from Pacific Electric. These cars that were new builds were 500 and 501. Another car, number 1058, which was originally Pacific Electric number 963, was a heavily modified car to look like a 1000 class car, or the 10s as they were called. The line opened on July 19, 2003, at a cost of $10 million and about 4 years of construction. There were 4 stations on the line, included 22nd and Minor, Porto Call, the Maritime Museum, and the World Cruise Center, which was the northern end of the line. Service on the line continued for the next 12 years, ending September 15th, 2015, due to planned major construction along the waterfront. Let's take a look at what's left today in December of 2021. I am at Reagan and Harbor in San Pedro, and right here is the former location of the crossing which connected the old Red Car line. They took up tracks. In fact, there's still tracks right there. From this point to the World Cruise Center station. There used to be tracks here not too long ago, and we're gonna go over to see the station. There used to be tracks where I'm standing now, and there's the old World Cruise Center station. This is the Cruise Center or Swinford Street station. Swinford Street is right over there. I can't really get a better look at it because the area behind it is blocked off because the fountain is getting some maintenance. We're here by the battleship Iowa at First and Harbor. There are tracks and a siding still here with the wire above. However, this is the spot where they are taking up the tracks. There's the derail here. There's a switch mechanism, the throw handle, and the derail. Down that way, there's a blue bin which is labeled scrap metal only. And this is the extent of what they have taken up. Marking it and cutting it with a metal saw. I think that box is a sensor for the old railroad crossing, which was over there. The gates or lights are all gone. Here's the scrap metal only bin. Now I'm by the Maritime Museum at 5th and Harbor. The trolley wire is still up. 15 mile an hour. And right down by where that truck is, they're cutting up the tracks. The bonded rail for the electrical connections. Steelton, 1939. 112 pounds per yard. The 5th Street crossing. Maritime Museum is in the center of the camera. And then over there is the Fireboat Center. Tracks out of service. And here's the old connections for the crossing gates. The crossing gates are also over there too, where they used to be. Now I'm at the Los Angeles Maritime Museum. And the old location of the Maritime Museum station was right about in the center of the screen, across the street here. Somewhere in this area. The tracks went through here and pretty much straight ahead. They have done so much work around here, realigning the streets, it's amazing. You almost can't tell that anything was here. Now we're down along Sampson Way, this street, and I'm standing where the tracks used to be. There was a small yard, I think it was like 3 or 4 tracks in this area. And the station was right across the street from this building. It's a little cafe. And this is where the station was. I believe that pole used to be for the wire. You can still see a little notch in there. Used to be for the overhead. And I'm gonna go down in that direction to show you where the tracks end on the southern section of the line. And here is the cutoff section, the northern end of the southern part of the line. The wire is still up from this point south. Right there is a sign for a trolley, 10 miles an hour. And that used to be used for freight a long time ago. Even before the trolley started operating, I don't think this was active. Got a couple dates on these rails too. 1938, 1937. A lot of this rail is the 1930s. Now I am at the end of the line, at 22nd and Minor Streets. There's the end of the line. 22nd Street and Marina, as in the Cabrillo Beach Marina. The wire is still up here. 6 years since the last trolley car. Speaking of trolley cars, I believe they are still in that building. And here's the shed. So, all 3 trolley cars I think are in there still. There is number 1058, 500, and 501. There are 3 sets of trucks with motors, and then another wheel set that's on top of something, I'm not sure what. But this is what it looks like currently. And that's pretty much it nowadays. Off in the distance is the Vincent Thomas Bridge.